et cap quitter finalement avec juste de quoi survivre. Paysans ça qui regroupé qui commençaient des revendications,
percent or 20% upside on the money you had deposited. That's the appreciation of the building when they sell.
But it's an investment. There's always a possibility of a downturn.
Of course, there's always an investment. Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as a guaranteed investment out there unless you're in insurance.
Abonnez, commentez, partagez, like, abonnez.
But yeah, I mean, on average, the properties that we represent in Delaware Statutory Trust, and we've been doing this for about the last 10 or 15 years, have returned between 9 and 12% annually. That's between the income and the property appreciation. So maybe it's like a 5 or 6% income and like a 5% appreciation per year.
Too bad.
I
mean, it's more or less like the way you describe it sounds like it's 12% total. I mean, not 12%, more like 8% total between the appreciation and the interest received, yearly.
Yes, right. There's two parts to the returns. The income is between 4 and 6. That's what you're going to get monthly as a check, right? They're going to send you a check for the rent that they're getting. And then when they sell the building, there's another portion of that you can receive, and that is also between 3 and 5% a year. So again, depending upon how long the program goes, whether it's a 3-year, a 4-year, a 5-year program, that is going to change depending upon how long and the type of investment. But generally, it's 3 to 5%. Overall, it's at 9 to 12%.
So can I decide to withdraw my money anytime I want, or once I put it, it's in there until you sell the building?
Correct. Yeah, the second one. So because you're buying real estate, these private equity sponsors are expecting you to go along with their real estate decisions. So when they buy it, They don't have any money available for you to pay out, so they can sell. So you can sell yours earlier than everybody else's. But when they sell the building, they'll give you a couple of different options. One, they'll give you an option to give you a check, and then you can pay taxes because, again, you're going to have capital gains and depreciation and stuff like that would come due. The second option would be they could take your money that you would get. Instead of sending you a check, they could send that money to something called a qualified intermediary. That's a third party that holds funds during a 1031 exchange. And then you can go out and purchase another piece of property, whether it's another Delaware statutory trust. Maybe initially you sell your building and you say, I want to buy the Delaware, and 3 years later you realize that climate change is really affecting Miami and it's sinking into the ocean faster than expected, and the real estate market in Florida is absolutely horrible because still nobody will insure. And instead you go, you know what, I don't want to have multifamily in Florida anymore. I want to have an industrial building in Texas because I don't have to worry about flooding. Well, when they sell that apartment building, you as an investor then have an opportunity to go change where you want to be invested, and you can buy, multifamily or industrial in Texas instead of multifamily in Florida. And that's a non-taxable exchange if you do it right.
So pretty much, since it's a trust, are you saying like it's there forever? Like the investment have to stay with the Delaware trust?
No. It does not have to stay in a Delaware trust. So when you invest in real estate and then you move it to a Delaware trust, and you do it using what they call a 1031 exchange, that is not taxable. That is a deferred transaction, meaning you're selling your real estate and then you're buying new real estate with that money.
Okay.
The IRS does not make you pay taxes if you're buying one piece of real estate. You pay.
Go ahead.
Where they pay taxes, then purchase new real estate. It could be through a Delaware statutory trust, or you could say, "Hey, I'm I'm going to take my money and I see a building here in town, or I see a house here that I want to do an Airbnb, or I want to do a long-term rental on. All of that would also qualify, but you could not take your money out and pay groceries with it. That would be taxable.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I have to talk to a few of my partners. So you can come with that investment with the partners, basically, no?
Oh, yeah. So tell me a little bit about the building you're selling. What is your timeline? What's your transaction? What are we talking about? Dollar figures? What type of building is it?
Talking about close to $700,000. It's a commercial property, office building, basically.
Office building. Okay.
An office building, about $700,000. But it's
Abonnez,
three
commentez,
partners together. So
partagez,
we're trying to see
like,
exactly
abonnez.
and do just what you just said. And 31 exchange. That way, the tax doesn't have to be paid, or you defer the tax. Because at some point you have to pay taxes anyway, right?
Eventually, the government does want their taxes, yes. The way that you can avoid that is if you continue to hold property. So I'll say it in a good way and a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, you will always have to pay taxes if you sell your real estate. However, if you were to die holding that real estate and pass it along, that person that receives that real estate and then turns around and sells it immediately would have a very minimal tax effect, because at your death, let's say you bought this building for $200,000 was your interests, and then when you pass away, you die, your interests are valued at $1 million. That building, your interests, to the second person, the beneficiary, would then be valued at $1 million, and the basis would also be $1 million, because that's the value that they are receiving it at, not what you bought it at. So that if they turn around and sold that building for $1 million at that point, they would have no tax due, because they're selling it for what they received it for. But unfortunately, because you're the owner, if you sold that building, you will always have to pay tax. You have to die with it and give it away in a beneficiary for them not to pay tax. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, I guess, in the way that this country has the tax code set up.
So it's more for generational wealth to pass it along to your family, basically.
Correct. Yep, exactly right. So that is the way to do it. But most people that own real estate, as long as it's giving them an income stream and it's growing in value, I don't see many people that tend to exit real estate, because, again, they buy it for that rent. So if you're buying a property and it's paying you a good rental income, and you have a strong tenant that you know is going to pay their rent every month, and they renew and they keep the building up well, and you don't have a lot of maintenance, there's really no reason to sell a good piece of real estate.
Yeah, definitely. That's a point too. But especially if you're not managing it and you have no reason to sell it.
Correct.
If you're doing the day-to-day management, then you can get tired of it.
Oh, I know. I'm an owner as well, an investor. I'm a landlord. It's a pain in the butt. And some days I really like it, because the rent comes and I see it hit my mailbox, and I don't have to worry about it, and I go, oh, that's nice. But then you get that call at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday telling me that the air conditioning is not working and it's in July, or the plumbing and the toilet's backed up for some reason, and they won't know why. And you got to worry about that all of a sudden. Now that you got to worry about, did I save enough of that rent? Do I have enough of it to put? Who do I call at 10 o'clock at night? Do I have enough time to go down there and fix it? With all of that. And then you get the notices from the insurance companies. Oh, we're not going to insure you anymore because you're too close to the coast. You're in a flood zone. You're in a high risk zone. Your homeowners is going up. Your fire hazard insurance, we're not going to rewrite you because you're in a high risk zone now because of weather. Tornado outbreak. I mean, it's endless that you deal with these things. And when you're dealing with one of these DSTs, that's all taken care of for you. You don't have to worry about all that. So for example, I'll give you an example. Right now, we have a building that is going to be in Arizona. It's a new property that's coming on board here. Actually, there's a better one. It's right there in your backyard. We have a Marriott Courtyard in Weston, Florida. It's right outside of Miami. You know where Weston is?
Weston, exactly. That's in Miami. Yeah, of course. Fort Lauderdale.
Yep, exactly. So it's right by Hard Rock Stadium.
Yeah.
There's the courtyard by Marriott in Weston. You can go there, you can stay there, you can touch it. It's not like a fake property. But there's a private equity company that owns it. They're going to be, in the next week, opening up a Delaware statutory trust. It's going to be a $20 million offer where me and my partners and a couple of other people are going out to investors and we're saying, see if we can find $20 million of investor money that want to invest in this building. It's going to pay you 7%. There's no loan on it. It's a good piece of property. But not everybody wants, and then in 3 to 5 years, they're probably going to sell that building so they can buy something new.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, the DST will close. You'll, as an investor, get your money back from that property, and you'll be able to go pick a new property.
Abonnez, commentez, partagez, like, abonnez. Absolutely. So, like you said, once you invest, you're there until the property is sold and then you can move the money to a different property. But do I decide what property I want the money to go to, or you decide where you're gonna invest?
You decide. So absolutely, you decide. So in our website, ExchangeX, we look at about 100 different properties that are out on the market at any one given time, from about 50 different private equity companies. On our website, as of today, we have 30 or so of those programs available to investors. They are all equally good. They're not all equally set up, meaning some people like California, some people like Florida, some people like Texas. I can't change where the building is. I can't change where they choose to buy the building or what building they choose to buy. I just say, here's what's out here. We've looked through everything. We think these are the 30 or 35 best programs that are currently available. And then it's up to you, the investor, to say, oh, I like this one, I like that one, I like this one. And we go, okay, great. Here's how we do that.
Oh.
Yep. So you pick whatever you like.
So with 400,000, basically, I can decide to go with 2 or 3 properties.
Exactly, yeah. So it's exactly right. I just did one. I closed on one. I helped an investor last week. He had $400,000 in proceeds that he was working with. It was him and his wife just sold his office. He had $400,000 in profits. He didn't have any debt that he was paying off. We put him in 3 different properties. We put him in a life sciences building. It's like a medical science building in Nevada. We put him in a multifamily building in Texas. And we put him in an industrial building in Georgia. All 3 of them, 100,000, 100,000, and 200,000.
Okay. That's okay. Well, like you said, is there a chance that all of that money can be gone, like to just file bankruptcy or whatever?
No, I don't. We've never seen a DST go bankrupt and not have anything, because at the end of the day, you're buying real estate, so you're still going to have the value of the actual real property that you own, right? With that in mind, though, the income you receive is generally through rentals, right? And so there have been times where a DST sponsor, a private equity sponsor, says, hey, we think we can buy this building and we think we can rent it out to, like, mostly this is going to be, I'll say, this is going to be mostly in multifamily, that this type of stuff occurs where there's challenges like this, Ronnie, because the tenants, you're dealing with individual people, not companies. Mm-hmm. And so individual people tend to not have the same credit quality or reliability for income, or the ability to sign a 10 or 15-year lease where it's a contract and we know that they're going to continue, right? It's a year-by-year situation. And so these multifamily operators sometimes will buy these buildings and they think that they can, we're going to put $20,000 a door in improvements, and then we'll be able to push rents and get it to this, and that'll cause the value to go to this, and this, that, and then, like, interest rates go up, and they can't push rents like they thought, or the markets change, and they can't do what they thought they were going to do when they first set out. Well, that can cause ups and downs in income. That said, here at Exchange X, that's a statement on the general market. Here at Exchange X, because of our due diligence, we have not had that situation occur. Every program that we have sold to our clients has met our diligence standards, and that means that all of our programs that we've sold have either met or exceeded the projections that they have told their clients. I've never had anybody buy a Delaware statutory trust from me that has not been paid what we promised. And again, that's not saying it couldn't happen. Knock on wood, it doesn't happen. But I've been in investments in real estate for over 20 years. My partner has been over 25 years. Our partner, together with a third partner, he has another 40 years. So we've been doing this a long time. We know we've all lived in the real estate and investment world. I used to be with Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch. I was an investment advisor myself. I've worked for companies that made DSTs and sold these things to financial advisors. I've been like I said, I've been around the block for a long time. So the point in saying all of that is that out of those 100 or so programs, the reason we only let 30 or 40 on at any one given time is because the other ones have a lot of risk, or I shouldn't say a lot of risk. They're too much risk for us to handle with our clients, and that risk can cause these challenges like
Abonnez, commentez, partagez, like, abonnez,
I don't like that. My clients, they work hard their whole life. They make good investments. They sell their properties. They don't want to pay taxes. And all they tell me is, Brian, look, I worked hard. I made this money. It's been working for me. I just don't want to lose the money. Just make sure I don't lose the money. I don't care if I make another $1 million or a couple hundred. I just don't want to lose what I have. And that's the type of investments where DSTs make sense, because the income, the appreciation is really going to be more like, one thing, let me just close my office door real quick. Sorry, the housekeepers are around. They're going to be more for, like I said, people that have achieved a certain level of wealth, and they value that wealth, they value what they have, and they just want to receive an income and a minor appreciation on it.
So do all the investors know when you're going to sell it, or you just decide when to sell it and then send them a letter saying that that building or property has been sold, and you send them a check, then that's it?
Good question. So a little of A and a little of B. So when these properties are purchased, there is for sure an eye on how long the holding period is going to be and how long they expect to hold it before they sell it. And that is very much upfront, usually going to be one of three different categories: 3 to 5 years, 5 to 7 years, or 7 to 10 years. And they'll tell you that right up front. We expect to sell this building in 3 to 5 years. We expect to sell this building in 5 to 7 years. And it's all based on what they purchased it at, the sector it's in, the location, how they expect that commercial real estate market to grow over time, all of those sort of things, right? That always, though, will be trumped by current markets. So, let's say you bought in 2018 a DST. And that DST provider said, you know what, we're looking to sell this thing in 5 years. So in 2018, when you bought it, you thought 5 years. 2023, I'm going to be out of this thing. And that was based on projections that they had in their head, 2018. That's the same, that's all the available knowledge. Nobody can tell the future, right? 2018 is 2018. Nobody knows what 23 holds. In 2022, the Fed starts hiking rates at an unbelievable pace. It upsets the entire real estate market, and it's the first time in 30 years that the real estate market has really seen, actually 20 years, that the real estate market has seen any kind of real rate hikes, because market interest rates were at 0 after 2008, right? So then what happens? That real estate that you own in 2018, the projections that they expected to have in 2023 to be able to sell it are changed. Maybe that real estate operator then says, hey, we expect it to sell it in 2023, 5 years, maybe we have to hold it for 7 years. So they expect to say, we're going to hold it to 2025, and then we'll reevaluate things. And then maybe in 2025 they go, hey, this makes sense to sell it now, and they sell it. But that's what will happen. It's not, they expect to hold it for a certain period of time. 90% of the time they exit it within the expected time frame. But 10% of the time, things happen. That's a risk to investments. That's always a risk to real estate. You never know what the future markets of anything is going to hold. That's a risk to investing.
But meanwhile, you're still receiving the what is it? The return.
Rent check.
A check.
Of course.
If you want to call it like that, basically. Okay.
Yeah, of course, yeah, because so for example, the industrial building in Georgia, I just placed this gentleman in. That is a 15-year lease with Hasbro toys. All right, so it's a, I don't know if you know, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, that sort of thing. They own all those things, and they make the toys for the kids. And they have this warehouse that they store the toys, and then they send them to all the Walgreens or Walmarts and Targets and everywhere throughout the Southeast from this warehouse. That's what this property is. It has a 15-year lease with 3 5-year renewals on the back end of it. So it could be a 30-year term that this tenant is in there. The program, however, expects that they're going to sell the building after 7 years. So even though it has a 15-year lease on it, they're still going to sell it with 7 years left on the lease. But let's say they get to year 7 and something happens. To your point, yes, they would just hold the building. Hasbro would continue paying the rent through the end of the lease, which is to year 15. You have 7 more years of contractual rent payments. And with this particular property, it's their main distribution center. I know it was built to suit. This is only the original term, and they expect to stay there throughout the renewal periods. So I have high confidence that even in that situation, if that investor got into a situation where
Abonnez,
commenter,
partager,
at the
like,
very earliest, he had 8
Abonnez,
years of payments before that tenant could exit out of that building. But more than likely, he has 23 years before he has to do anything, which means in that time frame, they could sell that building at any point in time, whenever they see the market correct.
That makes plenty of sense. I guess I understand it more or less, I could say, more or less. I will talk to other partners, and then definitely I will give you a call and inform you what's the process about selling it and what else we're gonna do basically once we're done. But I have to talk to those people. Within a week, I will call you.
Okay, no problem. Is your building already sold, or is it under contract to be sold?
Not yet. It's gonna.
Okay.
We're thinking about selling it, but not now at this point. But that's why we're thinking about what to do. After we get that money.
So here's perfect. So here's what I can do for you right now, Ronnie. So that way you can at least get a better idea of what we're talking about, because it's been a lot of words, a lot of information.
That's true.
I will send you an email. In the email is going to be a link to an ebook, like an electronic book that we produce called Understanding DSPs. It answers all the basic questions about what is a DSP, what's the process, how does it work, that sort of thing.
Sure.
And then I'll also send you a PDF packet of our current inventory of properties. So that way you can kind of flip through. It has little pictures of each property. It tells you what the income rate, if you have a debt. Do you have a mortgage on your property that you're selling or potentially selling?
No. We've been holding that for almost 20 years now, so it's clear.
Okay, so you'll see some in there that have an LTV that's above 0. Those properties are for people that have properties with debt that they're paying off. You'll see also properties with 0 LTV. Those would be properties that you would be looking at. So you can get an idea of the types of properties we offer, the income levels that you're going to get. Always remember to add 3 to 4 to 5% on top of the income number for the building appreciation, so you get an overall return estimate. And if you want to see any information on anything specific, let me know. The buildings, though, will change because as investors come in and buy them up, they will close for new investment. However, we're always identifying and looking at new opportunities that are coming on board. So the inventory will change over time, but this will at least give you a good starting point of what's there, good conversation, and then as you and your partners make decisions, I'm happy to jump on phone calls, conference calls, video calls, get you more information, get us in touch with the private equity companies that are holding these properties if you want to talk to them, anything we need to do to make you guys comfortable and transparent with the process, with how this all works, because again, we're not shysters here at Exchange X. We're not trying to be behind the curtain. We're very transparent. We offer all the documents to the buildings we offer. As much as you want, we're happy to help you out, okay?
Okay, we'll definitely get back to you pretty soon.
Sounds good, Ronnie. Appreciate the time today. You have a great day. Thanks so much.
You do the same, sir. Bye-bye.
Goodbye now.
Qui commençait sentir nécessité pour yo capable vraiment engager yo dans lutte pauvre yo que Jésus-Christ bail la vie yo pour yo même de joindre liberté. Et dans ce sens-là, petit, bon travail qui commençait fait à fait dans l'église là, qui fait que même l'église traditionnelle là, les vignes ont petit gens petit vin puis progressiste dans sa totalité. Mais on me dit tout petit. Cependant, mon secteur, on est dans l'église là, comme si l'église là, dans sa totalité, c'est comme si on l'aile montrer le bord et pauvre, on l'autre il montrer le bord et classe dominante, bon pouvoir et bon gouvernement. Mais petit, ça crée l'église pauvre qui lui-même sont l'église qui n'a rien à voir avec pouvoir. Première caractéristique, c'est que il coupé avec pouvoir. Avec pouvoir, classe dominante, il n'est pas marré avec ça du tout. Et petit, l'église ça a commencé à développer en Haïti. Je pense à partir de 83, ça vient un petit gens plus fort, et commencé à gagner de monde dans l'église là, et dans la hiérarchie, bon, il y a des pères, il y a des mères, il y a des frères, qui ont même commencé à engager dans l'église là. Et petit, il y a une séparation qui a fait entre l'église traditionnelle, l'église chrétienne et l'église peuple, l'église pauvre. Et comme si gen moun c'est comme si qui voulait gen pied yo de côté à la fois. Et ça c'est un problème. Mais petit, je crois que de l'église ça ça peut paraître clair différence qui gagne hein? Et je pense c'est un bagage qui mettait en pile confusion. Parce que nous gagnons un peuple qui croyant, l'aime dit croyant, ou gagnons monde qui croit dans l'église en Haïti, il y a plus que 300 l'église accepte. Et ensuite vous gagnez vos droits.
Abonnez, commentez, partagez, like, abonnez.
Qui ont religion lui-même tout. Donc, son peuple qui croyant. Croyance ça, son croyance qui est très fort. La caille peuple là, et moun yo croit dans l'église. Et longtemps, l'église, c'est plus à prêcher, yon l'évangile, yon catéchisme, qui pour mener moun dans le ciel. Et comme si, sous la terre, même sous passer misère, même sous souffrir, misère écrasée, mais il y a plus misère maltraitée, c'est plus nan mou vin belle pour entrer dans le ciel.
Nord-ouest là, surtout dans Jean Rabel, tourne en niche fourmi. Yon paquet d'organisation dans Port-au-Prince ou bien l'autre côté tout dans pays a voye lettre solidarité pour paysans Jean Rabel y a maltraité, tako Michel Selmon, Rena Fedlon qui dans prison. Organisation ça yo en pile te cité non Rémi Lucas comme yon nan moun qui ta dans combinaison pour faire maltraiter paysans yo. Après ça nous te rencontré Rémi Lucas, un jeune garçon 33 ans qui te gen ak li Jean-Michel Richardson, de monsieur ça yo, d'après ça yo dit, yo pas connaît pour qui laquelle de raison. Non, y a cité mais yo même ça yo pensé, yo te gen des bons rapports avec dirigeant mission yo, takou Père Jean-Marie, mais ça yo pensé sous dernier événement arrestation Michel Selmon à René Fedlon. Qui participation dans l'événement ça yo?
C'est-à-dire
ou même
c'est-à-dire moi-même Rémi Lucas.
Oui.
Donc ça événement ça c'est moi-même le plus souvent dans la plantation et dans le jardin son ba étant dans délai. C'est subitement dans la presse moi yo équipe missionnaire vient font lien entre Rémi Lucas et événement ça. Parce que son ba moi complètement détaché de lui, pas qu'on a comment ba ça fait. Donc on gagne que pas moi pas qu'on a non ça c'est passé.
Mais comment on fait là-dedans? Comment on fait citer?
Non, problème non c'est normalement c'est équipe missionnaire pour boucher tout bail qui passé dans Jean Abel, il toujours dit c'est Rémi Lucas qui a un problème avec paysan. Mais équipe missionnaire pas jamais capable justification comment deux monde fait mourir et groupement tué semaine passée dans zone bord l'est. Ça la presse pas connaît. Équipe missionnaire pas jamais dit explication massacre qui était fait de gros bassin. Les ça ont été mettre nom là dans le tout. Et moi-même pas connaît ça me avec équipe missionnaire donc pour petit critique depuis on fin font bêtise c'est normalement c'est nom pour mettre et d'autre part tout m'a demandé en question par exemple frère Patrick Lucas et avant 7 février qui t'a pris 7 février t'es conseiller dans l'hôpital pour que l'équipe missionnaire a géré. Donc est-ce qu'on y a yo vini les a fait pour masque a fait ou besoin porte non pour barrer que a continuer faire ça même moi protester énergiquement avec affirmation que dit gon lien entre Lucas avec et dernier événement passé font Amado quoi son bail qui passait entre l'armée et équipe missionnaire.
Et vous dit on bail qui passait entre l'armée et équipe missionnaire.
Oui.
Ça veut dire
parce que type là c'est l'Odira et les chef section zone non c'est lui d'après ça me donné c'est lui groupement yo qui rattache à l'équipe missionnaire c'est yo bat monsieur yo bat ton frère tout c'est là ça et quoi lieutenant voyez les ça puis arrêter et 2 à 3 chefs groupement qui étaient fait attaquer chef section. C'est comme ça me donne bail là passé.
Est-ce que gen moun qui travaille avec vous qui ont une relation avec vous?
C'est-à-dire non c'est pas moun qui est dans même pas de plantation dans zone ça du tout font Amadou. Donc pas aucun lien avec eux pour ta suspect que ta supposé pas aucun lien. ou pas on va passer juste à Coma presque à 15 km. Yo fin massacrer moun yo. Gen pe l'hôpital, yo te vous puis faut l'hôpital, gen pe près de 100 dans rage, gen pe quitter zone jusqu'à présent. Et peut-être ça ne ça et là Coma pas gagner tout le monde courir pour yo dans zone parce que yo te voulait partager tes moun yo paysans ou pas de lait.
Mais non vini en pile, chaque fois qu'on problème dans zone, non la donne. Ça va passer exactement.
Ça va passer. Donc c'est ça le problème. Non. Au début, premier monde qui a problème à la population, c'est l'équipe missionnaire directement après 7 février. Avant ça, Père Jean-Marie, chef équipe missionnaire, les salles t'as propose que c'est gros chef, monde pas faire rien, bon tout le monde est comprenait. À partir de 7 février, on série de jeunes gens te mettent en série de trac pour te déchouquer Père Jean-Marie avec équipe missionnaire.
Lors de parti en conflit à parler, gen non qui paraît, si équipe missionnaire pour défense paysan yo, en pile fois non Lucas Poitvien, Jean-Michel Richardson cité. Lorsque Rémi Lucas Poitvien, Jean-Michel Richardson cap expliquer situation, non Père Jean-Marie cité. Non